Hold on a second. Gonna just make sure. Now I thought we were gonna get to see more of that, and I'm just gonna have to fool around with it a minute because there's a little bit more backlight than I thought was gonna happen because of the sun. So I have to figure that out. So give me a minute as we're gonna experiment, but I didn't know how this was gonna look until kind of we went live. But we're in our new little setup. So give me just a second. Hopefully it's not going to freeze on me. You can see me here, I think. We're going to see, hopefully. Give me a minute, guys. Give me a minute. Josh is figuring out the whole cutting thing with the whole thing. I thought you were going to get to see more of that. So figure that whole thing out because I kind of don't know. Why are we just cutting down all of a sudden? I don't know why. We're going to see. Because I thought you were going to get to see a little bit more of that, but maybe not. It kind of keeps leaving me. We're figuring out. It's the new setup today. So but now I'm like kind of frozen in the one. But we'll have to figure that out. I wonder if we turn this light on. I forgot to turn the fan on. Hold on a second. I decided what. Hold on, my guys. Not straight. I'm sure you will figure it out. So we need to turn the light on because there may be time when we lose light and so forth. I'll have to figure it out. I'm gone again. Oops. This thing has wheels on it. Hold on a second. We're working on it. Give me a minute, everybody. This is this one's gotta go. Right, that did help a little bit. Kind of, sort of. But I thought you'd get to see more of that. I guess I can't focus on both things. All right. Oops. Okay. Well, we're gonna move then. And I may lose you again when we figure this whole thing out. Again. Trying to. Well, then that there, at least you can see that a little bit better. You can still kind of see me. I think that's better. I've got the light. I've got the light on above. It's just the camera too. This, of course, I'm using an older phone. Kind of see out there, but I thought you'd get to see more. At least it's something, but it's not. It's not like I want. Let's see what this says. No. No, I don't want that. Not now. Lighting on. I wonder if lighting on will do anything. It just bleaches it out. I see Melina. Hopefully I said that right. I'm trying to see if I can figure out so you guys can see outside a little bit. And trying to see. Well, we'll just go with it. As it goes dark, you'll see more of that, but I'll have to navigate that whole thing. But you can kind of see it if I stay out of the frame, which is fine. We're gonna make it all work. But again, kind of doing a whole setup here differently, and so I'm just trying to figure it out. But we'll figure it out. I did order. Um, what was it? a gray tablecloth. This is, you're not really gonna see it, but see it's blue. I ordered a gray one instead of this blue one, only because when we're trying to do match fabrics and stuff together, it's gonna be really hard if it's on a blue one to be able to really see it. I don't want to get white. White'll be too dingy. Um, and white'll be too dingy, and um, it'll get too dingy too quick. So I didn't want to do white. And I thought, well, this way, if I do the other, if I do gray, it'll be something. So I didn't know how this was going to all work today, but at least we're out of the kitchen, which is nice. Because we get our dining room table back, or it's not, this is not going to stretch. We're not into the kitchen where mom, our dining room table is taken over from Kinusaiga. So, anyway, I'm getting my laptop set up, and eventually I'll see if I can get like an office chair for here. Second. I will have this set up beforehand, but I didn't know how it's going to work. I will have an office chair for here, but the arms have to go up. These arms go up. And this is so much more comfortable than trying to sit in a dining room chair. That was just not comfortable. Not after a while, it just wasn't. Really hurt my back. So, like that. I'm going to keep my laptop together because I've got a charger for here. And then I've got all my cords here. I'll have to figure out how to. I guess that light's not really. Just turn it off. It's not really doing anything. I have you on the piano, everybody, just because with the piano, this way it will mean that I'm not shaking the whole thing. But I'll have to figure out the lighting. But we'll just go see how it goes. At least you get to see kind of outside. I thought it'd be really cool when it's snowing. Too, because you guys will be able to do that and see that. Gotta get my phone hooked up so that I don't just drop you all at one point and I don't realize it. Even though I charged it before I came on. So Josh is working on the frames and understanding how to do that so that he can show us how to do that. Hopefully it's going to work. I have my water there and I have my juice. So what's in juice today is my it's kale. And I was so frustrated. I did my kale juice and apple, and I did it in the ice cube trays. And when I tried to take them out, they all broke. The whole thing broke. I had to throw out 12 ice cubes because I didn't want plastic. But these are leftover. I've got kale and apple. I've got pineapple. I've got apple, carrot, and kind of a mixture of tomato, spinach, broccoli, and something else. So I have that in a container so that can get all kind of taken care of as we're and unthaw as we're working. I've got my container. All right. Got a whole setup over here now. So that really makes it a lot easier for me on a whole thing. And two, on top of it, being able to this of course there's much more padding in this seat, and to be able to lean back, stretch and relax my back is going to be very helpful because I don't have the greatest back. So that will also be very helpful. There's a mocha hair on this somehow. Doesn't surprise me. I'm going to put this over here. Got our Kinusaiga project. So I'm learning So this is just a work in progress right now. But this is, I think, going to be so much better. And I think as it gets darker, you'll see maybe a little bit. I'll have to figure out how to kind of, you know, avoid that a little bit, but you can still see me. But if I put you on the piano this way, you're kind of not in a position of getting, if I put you on this, all this is a card, a table, card table. If I push it this way a little bit more, maybe, yeah, that may work. If I put you here on the card table, on this folding table, you guys are going to shake every time I move this way. You guys aren't. Well, that'll work better if we put it. I know that I'm using an older phone for my over here, but you get to see me. But I know it's not the greatest, but um, it's at least it's what we're having to use. Otherwise, I have to borrow mother's phone, and eventually, I'd like to be able to get maybe like a little a mini iPad or something. But that's down the road. But this chair is much more comfortable. And I can just um and this way I can can't think to get together. This is just my office chair, so I can from my bedroom. And when I'm not working on the phone, I can just on the computer, I'll just bring this office chair in. And then when I need it, I'll wheel it back to the computer. I think you can see this better here because we've got the light over here. So that's a real plus that you guys, I think, can see this a heck of a lot better. That you can see it. There's not a shadow. There was a shadow in the kitchen. So that's a real nice plus issue. I think you're going to see that. And I did order, like I said, a tan or gray tablecloth to put on here versus the blue one. So that, I looked and I thought, I actually asked ChatGPT because I didn't know what color to get. I didn't like the blue, but the blue was what we had. And so, but I have my laptop here so I can add links and all that kind of stuff. So I just dropped the fabric link, but I think this will be nice because you guys will get to see this a lot better. Now I gotta switch my, so like I said, y'all be patient with this girl today. I'm very sore after yesterday. Sore beyond measure, believe me. That way you guys can see. But then I have to do this so you don't have to look at this cord. And I have to arrange it so that it's, I have to move this a little bit. It makes it easier because we've got it. And having too, there's a fan where we are. So I have to bring I love my little stroller fan, but I would prefer not having to, give me a minute, guys. There we go. It's got to go a certain way so you don't have to see the cord. Okay. But you can see that a heck of a lot better. Let's move that way. You can see this so much better because the light is on it. So much more vibrant. Just me, you're getting to see a little bit of the outside. It's just not as, we'll make it work. All right. Moved all my fabric into these containers today because Mom did make a good point. She said, because I just had the fabric on the table, and she goes, Mary, that's gonna fade after a little bit. So I'm like, yeah, you're right, Mom. And we can just take, I don't know how Mocha got all over this. Literally. So I thought that's a good idea, Mom. Have a lint roller. I've got all my supplies, like my glue is all in here now, so I can put that there. I've got an extra trash can in case I fill the other one up. But this way I can just but she did say, she goes, Mary, you're gonna just not gonna stand up. She said you're going to put that, oh, I really wanted to put that there, but it's not wanting to stay. She said you're going to the sun's gonna fade it. And I'm like, she opens the blinds. What I thought was really cool, keep a lint roller, because not only is that great for your projects, if you have your table that you have stuff on, you can just take your lint roller and get all the little lint stuff away. So keep a lint roller. Hi, Shatika. Um, but she said, after a while, you're gonna have the light's gonna bother. It's gonna fade out your fabric. And I didn't even think of that. She was right. So I moved. How she shit all over this? Literally, there's mocha hair everywhere. That's our dog. Well, I should say my daughter's dog, but we're caring for it. We're caring for the dog for a while. I've got my iron set up, and I am going to be ordering a little, like silicone pad. What's nice about where we're sitting now? It's not. We can say what it is. So let me put it right there. Having this just pen right now is. Can you cooperate, please? Thank you. Is we have that hookup. We've got the can't think what it is now, the plug. So I can put in the iron. I can even set the iron right here on the piano and then pull it off or put it on the table right where I'm sitting. Put this over here right now. And my water over there. But I can put it kind of like right here, or even there's a kind of a, oh my goodness, I can't think of what it is. There's a box, so if I have to use my iron for something, I have a little mini iron right here. Put it in this little box, right? I can put it on top of the container, and I'm gonna get a little silicone pad I can just safely rest the iron on. So anyway, but she made a good point. So if you're, get cups, put your fabric in it, just so that the sun coming in there wasn't going to bleach it. It's like, Mom, I didn't even think of that. All right. So this is a little smaller than dining room table, but we're going to make it work, guys. And my mom was so sweet. She goes, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, I know, Mom, but it was really kind of crowded on the table. And I've got my pens. Oh, I ordered these stylus. If you saw those. I'm delayed on this. I ordered these stylus, so we're gonna try these tonight too. There's different, and they're on the fabric list. There's different sizes to them, but they will certainly help with the glue. Got these two are little scraps. And one other thing I wanted to say is we need our iron out. Well, actually, what I'm gonna do is just, if people don't know what it is, let's see. It's right here. This is our pattern. So I will put it on top of my little note thing. That might find it cool, right? Well, is not all fabric is created equal. Now, I want to say this, and the felt's up there. I'm not going to take it out. But when we refinish the felt, this is our B7000 I use for my crochet. Love it. It's great. But I really want to be able to use this for sealing down the felt. And you can get felt that has sticky stuff already to it. But the color that I had, I really didn't like. They had for the sticky part. I also got replacement blades, so I've got those on hand. I found my little thing. It was tied in somewhere when I organized myself. I also have this. It's left over from the Cricut. And I really thought to myself that this would be great because when we kind of have to maybe take things and kind of smooth out fabric, I don't like the noise it makes. It may be nice to be able to take it and just be able to, smooth it out. So it's for the Cricut, but I figured I'm gonna take it and we'll get it for kind of smoothing out different areas. Like this needs to kind of be smoothed out a little bit. And so it's kind of done for that. So it's not intended for that. But and another trick I found the other day, but I figured if we needed to smooth out anything, we can. I have my little jar to put all my pieces in. Of course, now I could just put them in this container, but I'll put that there. Um, Another trick I found is like there's got like a little bit of something on there I don't like. Another thing too, I found the other day is I'm just gonna put it on here right now. Is if you have a piece of fabric that's kind of got curled, it happened on the flag, and this got a little stain on it. I don't know why, like a little dirt stain on it. Take your water and just put it on there and it will flatten it out. I don't know how that got on there, but we're gonna get that off because I didn't like that. For instance, kind of like I don't know if there's like here, just take your finger, and I found that on the cross we did that Josh is working on, is it does help to kind of do that. I don't know why that got on there. It'll be to the edge. It won't really matter, but I don't know why it's like a dirt stain on it. Anyway, I found out that did kind of, and then you can take your hand, your finger, and it kind of flattened out some fabric. So there may have been a little dirt on that. Things I had cleaned it. So maybe it's not even before I try to use it again. Take this and just wipe because there may have been a little bit of something. I don't want to get anything on my. But trying to see if I can get it to. I don't want to ruin it, but it won't ruin it. Well, that's a lot more water than I wanted on there. But anyway, hopefully that'll. Hopefully that'll. They did find out that trick. We'll see what happens in a minute. We'll see what happens. I don't know what'll happen, but we'll see. It did kind of work the other day. They kind of flattened things out, but I decided let's get some wipes. Wouldn't be a bad idea to clean your work surface a little bit. You're dealing with fabric. And you know what? If that has a little bit of thing or flag, been around for 250 years. And that'll be covered up for the most part. I'll look out on it. And it may not show now that I've done all that. I'll leave it alone. So anyway, gotta make sure that this goes in there because I don't want to hunt for it. That's for sure. So got my supplies there. get these out of the wire thing. I just had this pencil holder around. I didn't want to get another one. I could put the scissors in there when we need them. Oh, we're just a little bit more organized. You know what I mean? And the seat is so much more comfortable. I think the light's going to help you all to see what we're doing a little bit. The fan is going to help me. All right, I'm going to start on these little leaves because they're a pain in the neck, and see if we have any. We have a bin of just scrap fabric here. And if I get a little tiny piece of fabric, and I'll open this up and I'll just lay it. I'll lay it down here and then that way for it. If I need to grab it or I need to put any on it. And I even have a bin for my projects and works, so that they're kind of all here to a small work in progress. Ones I may never pick up again. No, but this will be so much better of a setup. Just a new way of looking at it. Gotta chop this off because it's not really going to work for anything. So hopefully everybody is doing well. I may have to rise the seat up a little bit, not by much, but the seat is so much more comfortable. I mean, I love our dining room chairs, but they're about 40 years old. They belong to my grandmother. The table has a lot of special meaning behind it, but to sit there for the length of time that I was sitting there was just not really the most comfortable of positions I could have put my back in. And we did a lot yesterday, and I'm really sore today, but I'll make it all work. So we're gonna do these little things first because they're. And mom was very sweet. She goes, "Mary, you don't have to give me the dining room table back." I said, "I know, but we came in from Sam's Club, and all this stuff is on there, and well, you guys can see a little bit outside. I mean, it may not be in the direct sun, but you guys will see it as the sun goes down, maybe." I'll have to research that and figure out how to fix that problem. Fix backlighting, I guess. I just thought when it snows, it'll be so pretty to watch the snow come down, but I'll have to figure out. And I'll have to try mom's phone and see if the lighting's a little bit better. But I do want to get eventually like an iPad because the phone I'm using is like an iPhone 8 or an iPhone 7. I mean, it's an old one we had, but this way, mom doesn't have to give up her phone for, 4 or 5 hours. Another thing I gotta get is like a nice pair of tweezers. That's another thing. What in the heck is that? So, I think I got distracted. Actually, no, I did. That's the phone that talks to me. And I don't understand it when I've got the volume down all the way. I don't understand. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I didn't mute myself, did I? No, I wouldn't been able to hear me on the other side. Anyway. Wish I could figure out how to get rid of that, but so I don't have to hear myself. Oh well. Anyway, I want to say this, and I want to say it in a way that doesn't. I'm just so blessed. In the fabric list, you will see Amazon fabric. Now, it's been very helpful to practice with. I've used it. I will continue to use it. But after going to that fabric store that we did yesterday, the fabric that I have to figure out how to get rid of that. I don't understand how to. There has to be a way to do it. There has to be. I shouldn't have to hear myself. Even though I have the volume muted and I have everything muted. It's down all the way, but I probably can't go down all the way. I just have to get used to it because it's coming from a different angle in my different ear. Anyway, after going to that fabric store yesterday, I really realized that the fabric we got from, you know, or from and that's on the fabric list, I'm very grateful for, and we're going to use it. But some of it, I'm going to have to go get glue that I can spray on, so I can kind of put it in a position of layering it with other white fabric, just to make sure that you can't see through it. So the fabric store that we went to yesterday was amazing. I've been there before, but not for fabric. I truly believe that if you're going to get the fabric that we have on the Amazon recommended list on the Amazon, which some of them are affiliate links, is an Amazon affiliate. If you do get them from Amazon, um, there's get them because they're pretty inexpensive. You get a lot of fabric, but they're great to practice with because that's where you're starting out. You got to start somewhere. I would not recommend going to the fabric place that we went to yesterday and going and buying a ton of fabric, and trying this out. Start with the Amazon fabric first because that way you can learn, you can make mistakes. If you have to, waste something, it's not like really good fabric. Now, with that being said, as we get further in this, as we get kits and so forth, and maybe put some fabric samples together for you all, that if anybody's interested and so forth and wants us to send them to them, we are going to get it from that store. But would I buy the fabric that we bought, but was bought and gifted to us? Again, probably not. Would I buy it if I was trying to show somebody and have them practice with this? Absolutely. So I think it would serve well for practicing and being able to kind of get your feet wet in this and make sure that you want to do this before you go out. You get a ton of fabric that you've spent. Hello, Mocha. She's under my thing because it's a new thing. This dog does not like it. We were moving a bunch of stuff. Well, Mom was helping a lot yesterday, but still, she is not somebody that likes moving anything. She likes everything to stay the same. And hold on a second. And there she is. I don't know if I can see it. Are you going to say hi? Crazy dog. Here we go. So I would say to you, get the fabric that, from, if you're looking for to start this, go ahead and get that fabric that we put on our list for the for the Amazon thing. Practice with it. Start being able to do projects with it. You may have to get some batting, or not batting, but spray, and that's something I still have to research and find because we need spray that hi Peyton, welcome on in. Hi Shatiqua. Thank you. And Rose Hodge, that's what I do. This channel is I'm talking. I enjoy talking. And so, what are you supposed to do on YouTube? If you're the host, you're talking. Anyway, but welcome on in if you want to come in and be respectful and You guys could put a hashtag blessed in the chat if you want people to connect with your channel. You're more than welcome to stay. But anyway, we will be getting, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend going and buying a bunch of fabric. Start off with the fabric from Amazon. Get your feet wet. Make sure that that's something you want to do. Thank you, Adira. I know it is. We got it covered, Peyton. I promise. Um, but I would start off there because you got a lot. You can get a lot of fabric for a good price, and you get your feet wet with this. Now, in the future, when I go fabric shopping, I'm going to the store we went to yesterday. If we put kits together, we're going to get the fabric from the store. Yes, that we went to yesterday because it'll be better quality fabric. We may eventually put together like little fat quarters together for you all from there, or they had 8 quarters that were nice size and nice fabric. We could put something like that together in a bundle. And it's coming from an Amazon, an Amazon little quilt shop, fabric shop. Good quality fabric. There was some bargain fabric we could look at. We ended up getting this fabric yesterday. This was on the bolt. And if you emptied the bolt, there was only like a yard left of it, a little bit more than a yard. You got 30% off. Look at this. And you couldn't really see it last night. I mean, it looks sheer, but it's not. You see the sparkle on it? It's so pretty. And we got this for like $7 yesterday. That was the only thing that I got there. And the only reason I got it because I I know. I got a deal on it. So anyway. Um, but anyway, the fabric that was gifted to us from Amazon, I am so grateful for. It's been so nice to have because it's allowed me the ability to do this and realize I want to continue doing this. And I don't want to stop. I want to grow. I want to continue to grow. I want to learn more. I want to do more pictures. I'm not stopping. This is something I'm going to really enjoy doing. And I'm glad that people are allowing me just to come do this, come in and connect with each other. Because that's all this channel does is we talk, we connect, we're here for each other. And hopefully you all like the new setup. Because I think it's going to be so cool. If I can figure out the backlighting issue, I think when we sit here and we're able to like watch the snowfall here, I think it's going to be like so cool. And the only reason I have you all here versus I have you here versus you're actually sitting on my piano. It's because if I sit you on this table, it's going to shake too much, and then it's actually you're getting better lighting sitting there anyway. So, but that's my take. I would never. The fabric we got from Amazon was such a blessing. Start there, but if you're going to do this and you go, okay, you know, I gotta when I start looking for fabric, I gotta go there. And Walmart and Hobby Lobby have halfway decent fabric. No, but I figure out when it does, you guys will get to see it from the window. That's why I love sitting here. It's because we have curtains. Like on this side, I could close the curtains if I wanted to. Um, We have a bed here. It was Christina's bed, but she comes and spends the night. She sleeps here if we have guests. Guest or something like that. When we first moved here, Christina wasn't married yet. So we have a bed here just to show you around our den. We have a bed there. And then those curtains, oops, there's curtains over there. If I wanted to close them, I could. Um, and we moved, there's cabinets. We moved Josh's tools over there so I could have this cabinet. Our piano sits there. But I figured out by doing this, and I here, well, see, the further I move you guys away, you guys can see better out there. I figured this way, you guys could see out there, and then when it snows, you know what I mean? In the winter, you guys will be able to see the snowfall. That'd be really cool. So, and I just wanted to we wanted our living room back. Our living room, but our dining room table. So, and I have my office chair I brought in because I love our dining room table chairs, but man, my back was killing me on those things because you're there for a long period of time. And I think the lighting's better. You guys can see the project better in here because there's a light right above me. The fan's on in here. So I think it's going to work for a number of reasons, not just that I wanted to give mom her dining room table back. But I just figured out, and we can, it'll be real easy if I wanted to take you all outside as it gets cooler. I've taken this outside. We could do that too. But right now it's so hot outside. I don't really want to go outside. So eventually I do want to get another dining room, like another office chair for here. But I have to find one that the arms go up so that the chair can go under the table real easily because this is just a folding table right now. Which I kind of like. We just took it from the garage. Yes, out. No, I like the arms on it because it gives my place. But I the reason I would need the folding arms up is so that when I need to push the chair back underneath the table, I don't have to deal with the arms. The chair could go right underneath the chair goes right underneath the table. Yeah, I agree. So that way the chair can go right underneath the table and then I could just leave it here, but that'll have to be a little bit. And I didn't think I was going to like the wheels on it, but I think I am going to like the wheels. And I definitely like having the swivel so I could get the stuff in the cabinet when I need to here. So I think it's going to work for numerous reasons. But Josh is trying to figure out, probably with some frustration, on. Well, you have to learn, and then you'll have to teach us how to make the frames. I've got to teach myself how to make the frame first. Well, we got to get the one done for your grandmother at one point. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your grandmother will just love it because it's her. So, anyway. So. I thought as a whole, it'll be nice because, and having that plug here where I can kind of plug everything in. Mom's not trying to get to the plug that's trying to go across the thing to the refrigerator, which Mocha doesn't want to think about stepping over. So, for numerous reasons, it's going to work. I have a laptop here so I can mod if I needed to, or put codes in for you guys, or what have you. Well, let me do this before I forget. Take a break for a second. Let me go. Let me do. that. Let me do something for paint. Mocha.
Really?
It's going to be.
So.
Give me a second. I keep forgetting to do this part. And I want to do it before I forget. Okay. All right, what I'm going to do, Peyton, while you're here. Yeah, Yadira was here. She's here. And it's fine. I have my laptop because sometimes I want to drop links for people or I want to drop things. And that way, if I have my Chromebook, I can do it without having to do it. What I am going to do is I am going to I'm going to create a hold on a second. I'm going to create a code, okay, for you, Peyton, because for some reason Nightbot doesn't always want to work for you. I don't know why, but I'm going to create a code, and I will let Sandy Wendy know and any of my other mods know as well that if by chance it's not going to work, um, if by chance Nightbot is just not cooperating with us, they can put a special code in the chat and your channel will pop up, okay? But it's just for my mods. And it's only if you're when you're here. So if you're not here at Bud Files, we won't drop it. And then go ahead and try to do hashtag blessed. And if for some reason it's just not working for you that night, okay, we'll be able to still drop your link. No. The way it's going to work, because I need to be fair with everybody when it comes to that. And so I want to make sure that I am, is I'm going to allow, if you put in hashtag blessed and it does not work, okay?
Mary,
Yes.
um, the spray paper over here for a frame.
Yes. Yeah, make sure it's the shiny side though.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. Let me do this so I have to. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. What I did, so you know, is if by chance that's okay. If by chance, what I did was just share your channel. If by chance you put hashtag blessed and it does not work, which sometimes for some reason your channel has a problem, Sandy or any one of my mods can put this code in, and only them, and you have to be in the chat. Hi, Salen, welcome on in. You have to be in the chat, but if you're having problems with Nightbot for some reason, it does it with your channel, they can put that code in, Just ask one of them. Try hashtag blessed first. If it does not work, just ask them to drop your code and the mods will drop it. I have to be fair with everybody. So if I give you a code, then I got to start giving other people that are not mods code. And I don't want to do that. So this way, it'll work only if you're in the chat and you're here and you've tried Nightbot or hashtag blessed. And for some reason that code's not working for you that night. The mods can put that code in. Okay. And they will get you squared away. Okay. That's the fairest way to do it. That way, and if I'm here and there's nobody else to mod, I can drop it for you. But I do drop my mods that have channels. I do drop their links when they're not here because when they do come, I really appreciate them. But I won't be dropping, and I just do it for my mods. Or like Tuber Chat and Foodie, and well, Foodie is one of my mods. Tuber Chat's one of my mods. So I do it for my mods that have channels. I won't do it if you're not here, I won't drop your link. It's just if you come in and Nightbot's being just a real butt and my mods are seeing that, they can drop that link. And then that way it'll be easier for them because they won't have to go get your link and drop it and do all that kind of stuff. They can just put that code in and we can get it resolved. No problem. So I hope that'll work. I can't give you a code and then not give everybody else a code. That's just not fair. So I give my mods codes that have channels because they are, I am very thankful for them that they're willing to come in and sit here and help and do all that kind of stuff. But I can't start doing that with everybody. That's fine. And I'm not looking for moderators right now, really. And it's fine. So I think this will be the solution. If again, I want you to feel like I don't want you to be frustrated because Nightbot's not doing what it should be doing. And for some reason with your channel, it just struggles at times. So we're going to solve the problem. And it's a good problem if anybody else has that problem. I'll just do the same thing and then it'll be easier. So this way, but just try hashtag blessed. And if my mods see you've done that and it didn't work, they'll go ahead and put that in for you. Not a problem. It is a simple solution to the problem. So, because I want people to feel like they can share their channel. It's how we all grow and connect. I'll just have to figure out the backlighting problem. That's a problem I didn't expect to have. But we'll make it work. For right now, it is what it is. At least this way, Mom gets her dining room table. And it's not covered with fabric. Which my mom was like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, I know, but it kind of bothers me. Okay. Got a little issue. Let's do. Forgot. I tried to get the school off here earlier and I was stuck on. Meant to go get the thing and I forgot to put it. Mom, can you come here and do me a favor? Can you hand that to Josh and have him get it off? I cannot get that lid off. And trying to get out of this hole right now for much of anything will not be easy. I'm not going to try to get that out of there, but I got to put a little glue on there, but I can't get the lid off. Hand him that glue and ask him to please try to get this glue. Tell him to get the lid off for me, please. Because it's stuck on there and I cannot get it off. We'll try a little thing. It does not want to come off. Almost enough fabric to make this all the little leaves. Yeah. I just can't get the lid off. I can get up and get the tool that I could use. I forgot to try to get it off before I came live. It's really stuck on there. Doesn't want to come off. But we'll try our little new little.
Yeah.
He got it off. See, I knew who to give it to. Thank you.
It's just sitting on there.
That's fine. It was really stuck on. So we will try our new little things. Our new little stylus things to be able to help. I think it's gonna get the glue in a better thing. I don't know if I could. Well, I probably could use it to push down fabric if I needed to put glue around. You know, this is going to get in there and get it really around there so much easier. I like that there's different sizes. Those work nice. I don't know if they'd work. I mean, they kind of, if you needed to. I think if you needed, like, I still like the seam ripper. There's tinier ones. Thank you. Yeah, the seam ripper is going to be better, but yep. We got you, Peyton. Don't worry, we got you. That's why I did it. And if I or my mod see you, we got you covered. Don't worry about it.
Sure.
Problem solved. I didn't know if those would work better, but they're certainly going to be better for the glue, I think, than using the seam ripper. Not that the seam ripper wasn't working for the glue, just it'll be a lot easier to kind of get it in there for the glue. Because the seam ripper really kind of gets in those little tiny holes, and it doesn't make such a big divot. So would I recommend them to put your fabric in? Not really. Would I recommend it to put the glue around it if you needed to kind of? Yes, that's what they're intended for. It's really kind of. There we go. Not like we're having another issue over here. I'm just grabbing different ones. And so it really does help with getting it a lot, like smoothing it out a little bit. So that does help a lot. And there's different levels, like this side is fatter and this side isn't. So then you can turn it around. So that does help a lot. It works a little bit better without ripping the seam ripper. or ripping the fabric. What am I talking about? The same ripper. Oh, yeah. Last little piece of fabric. I'm glad I pulled out this versus getting more. I've had to cut this because I didn't cut it all the way through for some reason. And another thing I can do too is I can bring my heating pad from my neck if I need it, plug it in there. But I'm not going to use that. It's too tiny. It's really tiny piece. It's not going to. I wanted to get this done because this was. And that worked. That cleaned that up and it flattened it all up. So don't be afraid. I did that on the cross. There was a couple sections that needed a little bit of water. Just took a little water and took my finger and flattened it out and it worked just fine. So if you need to hit it with a little water after you get done, there was a couple creases in the cross one. It's not going to hurt your fabric. It's going to dry. I would be careful to maybe use bottled water, especially versus using just tap water, just in case it kind of had, some stains on it or, like minerals and all that stuff in the water. That's water's not filtered. Or I'd use distilled water. I'd use something that you knew was filtered a little bit to make sure that, it wasn't going to leave a little bit of a residue on it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I would do. Plus, I just have bottled water over here in case I need it. I need to get a little cup for like bottled water. Or to put water in if I need to do it. Right, all the leaves are done. Okie dokie, we got them all done. Now let's get all this done. These little. And then I'm going to have trouble debating which one I want to go on that or project I want to do next. Yesterday I was so tired. Oh, we got done. I was so sore. Even lifting the fabric today is hard. It hurts. Ugh. I was just so sore last night. Oh, I was finally got to sleep, but man, getting to sleep was not easy. I was like, all my muscles were just going, what in the heck did you do? Now, one thing I saw somebody do today that I'm going to try for the next project is they made a slit all the way through here. And I think that that's what I'm going to do since we're probably going to do those frames or some kind of frame. Instead of trying to carry the fabric on the back here, I'm going to do a slit that goes around here. I think that that would also make it a lot better and save fabric too. So that's what I'm going to try to do for my next one. I also saw her do the ends. It's a nice way she did an end. Sandy, I did send it to you. I thought, well, maybe that's worth a try. Oops, put that in the glue. Oops. Well, that'll be the backside. It'll be fine. I love that you can. I think you guys can see the lighting's better in here than it was the other place, the dining room table. Well, maybe I can use that over here. Maybe that'll work there. I spent some of my day just relaxing. I did do some soap caddies today. I also came up, I just happened to do it by accident. I had the colors to do it. But I did come up with some holiday soap caddies. I came up with fall leaves, so that'll be for Thanksgiving, candy corn for Halloween. Because candy corn just seems like it's a Halloween thing. I may do a pumpkin color inspired one. I'm going to do a St. Patty's one and a Valentine's Day one. We have our 4th of July. I came up with the Christmas one and the Grinch one, and I thought, wait, I need one for fall leaves. I had all the colors, and it came out really pretty. So now we have a fall leaf soap caddy for the holidays, which will be nice. We've got Grinch, and we've got Christmas, and military. It'll be part of our collection. Something like this will work because I can that'll work really nice. Just kind of jamming that in there a little bit. That'll work. That'll be a nice tool to have. Puts a little hole in it that I need. These are my nemesis, these flowers. Oops. Put that in the wrong trash thing. You are in the trash there. Actually, I think I would like to have you there. Make better sense. Sorry for the thinking. Where is it? There's there. There we go. Yeah, I thought it was very good. I think I'm gonna try putting putting the fabric there to finish it off instead of. I still want to hopefully do the frames like the other lady because I really liked the way she did her frames, but I also thought that may be a really nice solution to like the sides and also having a little bit more, um, you know, not like having the fabric go down so much, which I have done a little bit on the sides, but I just think it'll work better in my way of looking at it. But we'll try it. We shall try it. Trying to see if I can get that to go more. There we go. See, as the light's going down, you guys can see more out there. So just to figure all that out. But despite it, we're not moving locations at this point. We're stuck here, backlighting and all. And Josh is like, well, why don't you just turn the table? He thought I was talking about turning the table the other direction. I'm like, well, no, because, this way people can see outside or see a little bit of outside. And then it'll be better because then I'd be right over the fan too, and I don't want to be totally over the fan. I don't mind having the fan on. I'm thankful to have it, but I face the other direction, then I'm right towards the fan. So this kind of tool actually helps if you need to kind of round something, like I need to round that a little bit. It works. And I kind of am going to need to hit this with a little glue. I'll put that in the glue because that is going to be an issue. You're not going to see it, but I don't want to. We're going to stop the fray happening because it is what it is before we, like I said, get your frays before you're going to have a problem. And I still might use my seam ripper for some of the gluing, but I'm not going to undo that. There we go. I'm telling you, you're not even going to see that when you get done with it. This other area, we're going to have to, let's get the tiniest one. I like that there's different sections. This has just gotta, you gotta cooperate there, and you're not. Oh, there's my. This is a Cricut tool, but I found it when we were cleaning up, and I thought maybe that will help if we need to kind of possibly, you know, kind of straighten something out. It may help. May not, but it may. Another trick that I found out the other day was taking a little bit of water, and that really helps. So like when I get done with this little section here, I want this to be a little bit more clean down the pike. I need to get a little thing for my water. This is what you can do. I need a little cup for the water. Take one of your tools and the water. Just take it, and I found out that this really did. It kind of just gets out if there's like a little wrinkle or what have you. And so I need a little jar. And then when I'm trying to flatten this out right now, the water will sit in there and help. Okay. Oops, wrong side. And then I'm going to take one of these little tools, name this. I'm just kind of. So now you really have a little bit more glue there. But I did find that very helpful. Take your finger, that works too. See, that is going to get that little area out. It's a nice little trick. There we go. We got it. If you're like, I need to have, and then it almost kind of unwrinkles it. I would be if I wouldn't. I thought about using possibly our iron, but I was like, nah. And the only reason I wouldn't do that is because you've got, not that this stuff, the polystyrene, would probably handle the heat. It's the glue that I'd be afraid that it would start to kind of mess with the 3 ml stuff underneath. So I probably wouldn't do that. I'm cutting hopefully enough for these next 3. That would be kind of my issues with using. I put this in the scrap bin over there. But I think this shows up so much better. There was always a shadow in the kitchen, but I think it reflects it a lot better over here. It's so much more cooler. Got so hot in that kitchen. So one thing I have never understood about this place. We love where we live, but I'm like, why didn't in every other place in this apartment they have a fan? They have a fan here, they have a fan in the living room, they have fans in both bedrooms. So I'm thinking right over the kitchen. They should have put right one in where people would maybe put their dining room table. Cause man, it gets so hot in there. You got the oven and all that kind of stuff. I never understood that. I think if we wanted to, they would allow us to put a fan there, but we'd have to have maintenance guy or electrician put it in, and then you have to wire it. It's like that wouldn't make any sense to do. They wouldn't do it, but I just thought out of any place that should have had it, should have been in the kitchen. But there's probably a lot of people, unlike us, that come from Florida, that my mother has, if the fan is in her bedroom, do you think she uses it? No. She doesn't use her fan. Josh and I have our fan on. Josh has the fan on going in the living room. The winter time, the fan's on. Just never, fan is always on. It doesn't, it's not gonna, it gotta come up a little bit. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I just never understood it. Didn't make any sense because it gets really hot in that one space. At least in here, I've got a fan going. So I had to have our fan going in the little stroller fan because it was getting so hot. Keep wanting to look over there, and I'm thinking, you guys are right there. I don't need to look over there. I just need to use that for putting codes in. These tools are nice for kind of doing this part of it. So hopefully everybody's had a good day. I've had a good day. I've just been tired and in a lot of pain today. Today was a painful day. I couldn't do much today. I had to kind of take it easy, as my grandfather used to say, because that's what I had to do. Take it easy today. It's better. Let's get this underneath a little bit. I'm getting these little things done because it's easier to do this Well, I found that out from the previous. Get these done and get the leaves done, and then you start working around it. And the flowers will probably be the very last thing we do. Hi, Fire. Welcome on in. Yes. We've got this one. We're finishing, and we're in our new little space. So you guys can see outside a little bit. There's a little backlighting, but I can't help that. We got a fan in this little section in our little den. This way you guys can see outside. And when it snows, when the winter happens, you guys can see it. And I've got a whole thing over here for my fabric and drawers and stuff. So much easier. I've got this pattern. So y'all see. I've got this pattern that I've started just on this clouds that we're going to work on. And then I've got this one. And I may choose to do this one next. And the only reason I would do this one next is because I think this would be a very easy pattern to put up on our merch store. And then that way, you guys, we have the cross up there, but this way you all would have a really, really good pattern to work with where you guys could really practice with this kind of pattern because everything's, you know, there's not, everything's straight. There's not a lot of curves to this. So I thought if I did this one and then I put it up, it'd be a really easy pattern for you guys to kind of get your sea legs done. I probably wouldn't recommend. I am gonna put as soon as we're done with this one and I can finish the corrections on it. Um I'm gonna put this one up and I'm gonna do two different patterns. I am gonna charge an extra $1 for this one, but they're gonna be one with the flowers and without the flowers. And I'm gonna still make a little bit of adjustments to the flowers. So you guys that don't want to be bothered with these flowers don't have to. Those that want the flowers can have the flowers. So kind of like anyway. I just thought I have to take it easy today. Doesn't want to go down in the spot. I am going to make these sticks a little wider. They're just not wide enough for everybody. I mean, they're doable, but they're a little annoying. We're gonna get it done, but it's just, I wouldn't recommend it for somebody that's just starting. I would recommend that other pattern. That's kind of why I'm going. So we may do that one before we work more on the goose because it's not gonna be saved. Do you kind of see this before when we did the water? It just does help if you're kind of coming, and there's some that's just not, it's not going to be perfect. But if you have a little section that's, you need straightening out a little bit, you can use a little water on the fabric and it works without damaging the fabric or the the stuff. So I wouldn't recommend, putting it underwater or anything, but you just use a little bit. I actually have to turn the fan down, believe it or not. So used to roasting in the kitchen. Yes, it is. Welcome in, Otto. I just, this chair is, so I just keep thinking, oh, we had the chairs in the kitchen. They were comfortable, but after a while, they're a little bit uncomfortable. They're great for dining. They're great for sitting. They're just not great for sitting for long periods of time. Of course, they're older than I am, so I guess after a while, you're allowed to not be that comfortable, huh? I didn't even think of it. Mom was like, "You need to put your fabric in containers and put it there. Put it on your shelf," because I found some empty containers. Because she was like, "You're gonna, your containers or your fabric's gonna get, if you leave it on your table, the table with the sun coming in, it's gonna fade." And I'm like, I didn't think of that, Mom. That's what moms are there for. You think of things you don't think about. And if you have your mom still, she's here and you getting to see her and spend time with her. Be thankful. You know, she's a blessing, even though I'm sure sometimes she annoys you. Well, guess what? You sometimes do the same with her. I love my mother and I live with her. And I'm very grateful because sometimes I can't do things. There are days when I just can't do the laundry that day, or I can't, cook, or I can't move. And, she's there to help when I'm really having a bad day. And I'm very, very grateful. But I think sometimes we don't realize, you know, I think we take people for granted and we don't realize all the stuff and how much your mom or your parents struggled. Yeah, they made mistakes. They didn't do everything perfect, but they loved you. And I don't think we totally understand what it's like to be a parent till we have a kid of our own. It's like, oh, that's what it took. you know, I wouldn't recommend these tools to necessarily replace the seam ripper, but in some areas they're a little bit better than the seam ripper. Like what I'm having to do here, I can get underneath and a little bit better. I can kind of carve out a little hole for that. So in some areas, it kind of does a little bit better job. It certainly helps with getting the glue where you want it to be. Run it out tight because then it will can't kind of pull it out a little bit if I need it. There we go. Get where you're supposed to. You leave this glue out too long, it gets a little thick because it's quick drying glue, so then it dries a little quicker than I want it to. But so I wouldn't put, if you're using the quick drying glue and you got a fan going, put a little bit out. Don't do a lot, it'll dry really quick. Scissors got me for a moment. Found a solution for the water. I'll put it in my bottle cap right there. That'll work. Whoops. Got my juice. It's not unthawed yet. Excuse me. Got a little glue there. And just take your bottle cap of water. I'll have to keep that cap afterwards because that would be perfect. Perfect for just adding a little water. Get out of there. Thank you. All right, onwards and upwards, guys. Nice if I could finish this whole thing tonight. I would really, really like to do that. Okay. We're going to do the grass on the bottom. I will use, no, this one. And we'll kind of use the other kind of up there. They're so close, you can barely tell that they're different. But I absolutely would say my opinion, whatever professional it is the fabric that we have listed on our thing and that we got from Amazon. I am so grateful for it. And I would strongly suggest that you go with something like that because that way you get to practice. You get to make sure you want to do this before you're diving into fabric that is going to be a little bit more better, a little bit better quality. And you're going to be spending a little bit more money. So that's what I would suggest. I'm glad we started with this some of this fabric. I'm grateful for the lady that donated it in our local neighborhood. But if you're going to say, okay, I need to build, as I build my yarn, I'm so used to crochet. As I build my yarn stash or fabric stash, I'm going to go to that fabric store because that's what I want to start building the fabric with. But to be able to have had this fabric and be able to try it out, make mistakes, and test and make sure that this is something I really wanted to kind of go down a road with. Get the fabric we have listed. You may have to double some of it up if you're going into certain areas, but it's good fabric to have. It's good fabric to start with. And then as you get further along and you get better and you're going, this is something I want to do, go to find a local craft store, or not craft store, but a quilt store in your area that sells fabric, and go look at their quality and start looking at. And here's the other thing about it. You don't have to go in and buy, a yard, 2 yards, 3 yards of fabric. Go in and get the little fat quarters, like the place that we were at yesterday. They were $3.99 for one fat quarter. And then for 1/8 of a quarter, it was $2, $1.98. Start off with those. And it was a good chunk of fabric. If you go look at the video, it was a good chunk of fabric for $2. That little piece of fabric is going to last you a good amount of time. It's like this green fabric I picked up at Hobby Lobby for the remnants, you know, it's going to last a long time. It's not going to last forever, but it's a good chunk of fabric. We've just used that little bit at the end. So you don't need to go in and go, okay, I need to spend, a yard is $10. No, go in those little sections and get, maybe like 10. And I'm probably going to end up starting to do that just when I get paid I get paid on the, certain day of the month, just taking my own self and going there and getting like 10, of those. It'll be $20 roughly plus tax. And then I have 20 pieces of fabric. Yep. Yep. It was from Hobby Lobby. But I'm saying that because people may think, oh, I need all this tons of fabric. No. My thing about, and it's not every piece of the fabric that we got off of Amazon. But like you can see, this is kind of a little see-through. And in order to really, we can put it on, and we did put it on the cross, but we kind of really are probably going to have to put something, if we didn't want this to come through and show here like this, right? And have this stand out a little bit better. We're probably going to have to put white. I think I showed everybody last night. Like a solid white behind it. That's where I've got to find that spray. There it is. So that, and I wouldn't use this white. I mean, that white, it's not going to be a clean white. So in order to really make this stand out a little bit better, you can see the difference. We're probably going to have to combine those two just so that it's not as see-through. And I would probably save this for using for that. But this has been great fabric to try with and experiment with and make sure we wanted to go down this rabbit hole, and so forth. And so that becomes a really good place. So if you're like, I don't know if I want to try this, start with that. You don't have to go to not Hobby Lobby, Lowe's and get a big thing of this polystyrene board. They sell it at Menards for pretty inexpensive. Start small and grow your stash. Go to your local places, and like I said, I'm probably going to go at the first of the month and pick those still. It's like way too much glue. It's going to dry out really quick too. It came out faster than I thought it was. Go to place like that, and I'll probably go get like 8 of those. Not 8, but like 10 of those ones. And then I have 10 new pieces of fabric that are going to last me. It's not going to last me forever, but it's going to last me a good chunk of time. When I go searching that. And then I can maybe go to the bargain section of that place and go pick up maybe a couple bargain ones that I can get for, $6.99. Ones I really like for like $6.98 a yard. So you don't have to start out huge. And there's a lot of really good fabric, the ones we got from Amazon. It's just some of it's on the thinner side, and we'll probably have to double it up, but it's great fabric to have on hand to start with. You got to start somewhere. And this way you get to say, "Oh, I really want to do this." Yeah, I really want to do this now. Now, if I was going to put kits together for anybody, we're going to get the fabric from the local Amish place that we went to yesterday. That's where we're going to get it from. Down the road, if people want us to put kits together or something, or buy fabric and buy some samples of the fabric from that place, we can put it together. But you don't have to start out with a bunch of stuff. Just start out small. Get get some fabric off of Amazon. The problem with Amazon too is you don't know what you're getting. I'm gonna tell you some of the fabric from their wish list, or not a wish list, on the fabric list is on the thinner side. So just take that into account and say, okay, there's a way to work that. And there's also, sometimes people, I've seen them use tulle and stuff that's on the thinner side and sheer, and they put white fabric behind it. So I probably am going to eventually get like a nice amount of really good white fabric so that if I want to use a sheer fabric that's going to see through to the foam board, I'm covering it. They may. I wouldn't do it, but they may. Another thing that I was thinking of was getting eventually, possibly getting some white fabric and I did that again. Put it in the wrong jar. Is maybe be able to offer, like, be able to do it. And Christina used to tie dye really good stuff. I mean, she was more of a freehand. She tie dyed, and you could see some of the stuff, and it was just really freehand. She didn't do patterns or anything like that. But I thought it may be really cool to maybe have her get us some white fabric and have her tie dye and unveil it and then offer it to anybody that wanted it, put it into like fat quarter sections and have it be Christina's handmade creations or something like that. I thought that would be really cool. But you could do that on your own. You could just go to Hobby Lobby and get tie dye colors and get white fabric and have fun and do some tie dye fabric, tie dye some fabric. But she did really cool tie dye, and I thought that would be also something that would be really cool, you know, too, as well. Something to think about. And then I could get the fabric and just have her tie dye it. And she did a really good job, and it was really pretty. And to make like fat quarters out of Christina's collection, that'd be fun. So that's something down the road for sure. But you could do that yourself if you just go get it, and it's not that hard to tie dye. I would just take it and put rubber bands, like I would roll it up, put rubber bands down sections of fabric, and then just go at it. And that's what I would have her do. She did really good stuff, and I thought, well, that may be something to think about adding down the road. So we've got some of her stuff. Something to think about. I'm going to add some glue there because it's just She could tie dye. But I wouldn't see why you couldn't do that. I mean, I can't see why you couldn't do it. I think if I had to sit in those chairs at the dining room tonight, I probably wouldn't be on because I don't think I could have tolerated them. So, I think Josh is, well, he's been at it for a little bit. He's taking a break. He's got to do the one for his grandmother, so he'll do it. He's got to learn how to do it. And then he's got to teach me, but he's got to get the one for his grandmother done. So I don't think it's going to be, I know y'all want to learn and let us teach you that technique the lady did, but it's going to be a little bit before we can do that. Those tools are pretty cool. I'm glad I got them because they've come in handy already. I would recommend them too. But again, start the fabric. Go to the Amazon fabric list. Get some of that fabric. Get the solid fabric. I would highly recommend that. And start with that and get your feet wet. Because, and then slowly grow your collection. You can't just, I wouldn't be a new one. I wouldn't be new at this and say, go right to your local. No. Start off, make sure you want to go down the road with it. Make sure this is something you want to do. And then slowly grow your collection. I mean, I'm not rushing out to go grow my collection. I don't have the funds. And fabric can be expensive. If you're not a quilter that is maybe have leftover scraps, it's expensive. They're not cheap. And so you gotta first make sure you want to do this, and so getting the fabric off Amazon is not a bad way to go at first. Because you got to try it out. You got to experiment. You got to make mistakes, and all of those things have to happen. Don't try to make it all come together yet. It will. I said we'll go there once a month and maybe take $20 and go get some of those 1/8 quarters. I think they're called 1/8 quarters. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Maybe a couple fat quarters here and there. And that's how we're going to build our yarn thing. And maybe, down the road, And two, I would say also when you go, like when I go back to there, I will say to the people there, there may be a local fabric or a quilt store that may do quilts. Like they do their own quilts there. She makes quilts. She was making them on the machine when we were there. And maybe you could talk to them and say, listen, if you have any leftover scraps from the quilts, if you could, I'd buy them from you all for like, pretty inexpensive. So it's something that when I go back, I'll maybe say to them, listen, I know you all make quilts here. Maybe if you do have any scraps left over, if you put them in a thing, I'll come in and even buy them from you. So I may not be able to use all of them, but maybe if they make their quilts there, and they've got leftover things, leftover scraps that they're otherwise would just make it to the trash. Maybe they'd be willing to sell them to you for X amount. You know, we had a family relative that said, if you don't ask, you'll never know. So they may say, no, we can't do that, but they may say, oh, yeah, sure. You know, you come in there and they're going to make them in the round, they're going to go in the round file, which means the trash. And they can sell them to you for $10. You know, they're making $10. You're getting fabric syrups. You may have to just take whatever they hand you. It may not all work. You may be putting some of it in the round file, but still some of it may be useful. You know, something to think about in the whole, you know, something to think about. But and I was floored because their button collection was so much better. Because we got mom sometimes will have to go for a button at Hobby Lobby or something. She'll go, just no buttons. And I'll go for like our towel caddies sometimes if I make some of those. Like there's no buttons anymore. But they had a ton of buttons there. I was gonna say to mom, you need buttons, we're going there. Forget Hobby Lobby. I've had to have to hit a glue place. It does seem to work better when I have to glue. It's kind of getting, it just seems to be hitting it better. It seems to like really get in there a little bit better than when I was using the whatever the seam ripper. I'm able to get a little bit more glue in and in a more accurate place. And if you kind of take your water, take it after you do that, cleans it up. Highly recommend these. They're in the fabric list. New fabric, right? I didn't. This may take a day 6. I want to get everything done, and we'll see. I may work on a couple of flowers, and then this is gonna get. You're gonna see this through the thing. You're gonna get stuck in there. Let's fix this while we're at it. Too much fabric. And it's not gonna. Yeah, let it dry for a second. Let it dry. There we go. Sorry, that was hurting. Oh boy. Tired tonight. Tired. I just have felt past a little bit. I use this fabric, and every time I use it, I just think to myself, Mary, you were just blessed beyond measure. And sometimes in life we need to be reminded that we're worth being blessed. You know, we're worth, that's in life. That sometimes in life we're just, sometimes just we have to bless other people because they need it. We don't know what they're going through. And maybe they just feel like the weight of the world has been put on their shoulders and they're going through something, and it doesn't be much. It can just be something little. Your friendship, maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's, a cup of coffee, maybe it's a cookie, a chicken from Costco or Sam's Club. Doesn't have to be much. And sometimes you just have no idea. So every time I use this fabric that we got from Amazon, I just, oh, thank you, Lord. Because you all would not have seen this project or any of these things so far without it. Because I didn't have the resources, and somebody blessed us with it. And I'm just like, I'd have been able to do a little bit, but not to the extent I've been able to do. And I've gotten some, fabric myself, but I wouldn't have been able to do, a lot of it without the fabric we got from Amazon. So I'm not at all saying that wasn't worth it. I'm just saying, if you're starting this whole project and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, start off with something like what we're doing and just slowly build your collection. And you will. Believe me, it'll happen. Not all at once. And it can. It'll happen over time. Just my recommendation. Hi, Riches. Welcome on in. Ooh, I got to show you something if you haven't seen it yet. We're in a new space. We moved into the den. So you could see outside, but of course now it's dark. But we moved to the den so Mom could have her dining room table back. I'm sitting in my office chair, which I had to move from my bedroom to here, which is not a big deal. And this way, at least at night, or at least it's a much better chair to sit in than the dining room table chairs. I can sit much longer without being in a lot of pain. Those dining room table chairs are wonderful, but they're just not meant for long time sitting. So, and I got these on Amazon. These things are in the fabric list, and they work awesome. They're like little stylus, and they help with the glue, and they've been very helpful. I ordered those. Highly recommend those. But anyway. But they help with the glue so that you're getting a much more precise thing. Precise gluing down. But if you haven't seen the video and the water works, put the water on tip and you get a little glue someplace, get it off. I did a live from the store yesterday, but we did two things. We got this from Hobby Lobby, which I thought would be great for the water for the goose in the pool. I got this. This is the other sparkle from Walmart. They have the white and they have this color. So I don't know if these colors will go together. I thought this was a darker blue, but I thought we can maybe alternate between these two, possibly. I picked that up because that's the other white. Of course, we've been using that sparkles. But then we went to a fabric store that we're probably going to start getting our fabric from and possibly putting together fabric and everything. If it's not there, it's not there. Look at this fabric. Isn't that pretty? I picked this up yesterday at the fabric store, and it's run by the Amish in our local area, about 25 minutes away. This was a yard and 1/3 fabric. And if I emptied the bolt, this was all that was left on it, it was like 30% off. So I got it for like $7. It looks see through, but it's not. It's really, it's really pretty. So I got that. And I left there thinking, I'm in trouble. Because I was just going down the aisles going, there's more and there's more. Oh, I get so we are probably going to start going there. They had eighth quarters, I think they're called, and fat quarters. The fat quarters were like $3.99. The eighth quarters were like $2. So it's still the little 8-quarter things were still a lot of fabric. It's called Country Fabrics. Oh, yeah. It's crazy because it looks like it's see-through, but it's not. When I picked it up, I'm like, this has got to be see-through, but it's not. You can't see through it. So I thought for Christmas, it's. Oh, you have to go watch that store. If you want to talk about aisles and aisles and aisles. Sandy saw it. She was on the live. She goes, "Oh my gosh." You could put 10 Hobby Lobbies in there. Unbelievable. It was all reasonable. Um, but if down the road we do kits for this or we put fabric together for anybody, we're going to get it from there. But that's what I was telling everybody. Like the fabric from Hobby Lobby or from Amazon, I'm very, very grateful for it. Beyond belief. Every time I use it, I think how blessed, how blessed I am. And I'm very, very grateful for it. And I would recommend it for somebody that's starting because you got to make sure, like, I didn't want to go into this, buying a bunch of fabric, not that I had the resources for that, and then finding out I didn't like this. So this has been great fabric to learn from. There's some really good ones in here. I will use it. It has helped me beyond measure. But as I grow our little stash, I'm going to go get it from there. One of the reasons is because I get to actually physically see it. That's the first thing versus what you kind of think you're possibly getting off of Amazon. Um, Most of the fabric there was about $10, between 9 and 10. Some of them were like 16 a yard. And they have even a little was it a little like a little like gift shop there too, and all that kind of stuff. They sell handmade quilts there and everything, but they had a bargain section that was $1.13 or $1 yard and 1/3 material. And if you emptied the bolt, you got 30% off. So it was like, what was it? It was like $9, 9.98 for like the yard and 1/3. That was all that was left of this fabric. And then you got 30% off of that. So they had a bargain section that was on sale that you had to get 1 yard and you could get it for the sale price. They had, I mean, unbelievable. They had fat quarters for $1 or 3.98, and then the 1/8 quarters were like $2. So it was unbelievable. But I've been there before when we were going for getting the mason jars for my daughter's wedding because it was their favors. But I looked at it from a very different perspective now. But I'm like, I could go there and pick up like the 1/8 quarter things. I could pick up like 10 of them and build my collection that way. You don't need to go buying yards and yards of fabric. You know, I would honestly say don't do that. Build your stash with getting maybe a half a yard or something, unless you really, really like it, because I would say get more variety so you have more choices than getting a bunch of fabric that, you know, you know, buy smaller amounts where it gives you more choices when you're doing projects. Ugh, unbelievable. The amounts that it was so country fabrics, and I'm telling you, it's in the middle of nowhere. We were going down the road, there's sheeps on one side, there's sheep on one side, there's corn on the other side. I mean, it is like in the middle, farms on every side. It's in the middle of nowhere. And they're really nice there. I mean, they couldn't have been nicer. There was a lady she was making a quilt when we were there on a big machine, huge place. A lot of cotton fabric. Some of it had like inlays of gold in it and reds. Another thing was their Christmas section for Christmas stuff was like humongous. And I went to Hobby Lobby. Their fall section was like this. And the other things like double the size, if not triple the size of what Hobby Lobby had. It was beautiful. I mean, Walmart has an okay selection of stuff, to a point, but look for your local quilt stores in your area and go visit them. Um, there's nothing wrong with Michael's. There's nothing wrong with Hobby Lobby, but oops. Are limited. I got glue on my desk. Yep. We just got a folding table out of the garage and it's worked. And then these little things are really handy. because it really gets the glue where you want it to. Not that the seam ripper didn't work. These just are a little bit more, they've got a little bit more weight to them. And I can get, just get them better where I want to have them. They're precision tools for glue. And they're in the fabric list. I added that. I also added the iron from Walmart that we have is in there. I also found a comparable iron on Amazon. And I also put a silicone mat I'm going to be ordering to put the iron on if we ever have to use it. But I think you can see better in here. I've been saying that the whole time. I've got a light here. I think you guys can see the better. It's not so, it doesn't have such a shadow as it did in the other room. And I've got a fan in here. And when the snow falls, we can have the window open and you guys can see the snow, which we cannot wait. Mother's not looking forward to it. She loves the heat, and we all are like, bring the fall, bring the winter. Even my daughter said it today. She goes, "Mia, Mom, you ordered too much heat." It's hot. I was like, yeah, that works really great if you've gotten a little bit of water and you need to kind of get your glue off that. These work great. Do they ship orders stuff? I think they do. Here's the thing. When it comes to that store, if anybody would like us to go, and I will be happy to FaceTime with anybody and they would like for us to go and go through the store and pick fabric out. And they do ship to some degree, but if you would like for us to take you there and go through the store and get fabric for you and ship it to you, I have no problem doing that. None whatsoever. I will be your personal shopper. So they will ship fabric to some degree, but if you wanted to see it, you'll have to go look at the video. And then I'm going to send you an email either tonight or tomorrow. We cleared our space out here and I was so sore today. So sore. So you're going to walk by. Nobody's going to see you. So just so you see, this over here is like, can I see it? That where it's showing? Okay. Oh, that's showing there. Oh, let me bring you this way. Okay, so this cabinet here is now full of all our supplies. I found these drawers outside in the garage so I can put all my supplies here. I've got projects we're working on in here. I've got fabric here. I have iron here. Um, I've got cardstock up there. That way everything's organized. And you all are sitting on my piano. Yes. So mom helped yesterday. We cleared this section out because mom was like, it's okay. I don't need my table back. I'm like, yeah, but, and we had a card table, folding table in the garage, which this one is very sturdy. But I kind of like having the folding table because that way, if, somebody comes and we got to take it down, we can take it down. Yes. And we had that cabinet. We just moved Josh's tools from there to there because there's cabinets over here. There's a bed here. and I got the fan and the light, and then at least I said to I didn't even think about it. I thought, well, when it snows, our fall leaves are changing behind, and then if I did want to take everything outside, it'll be so much easier to just gather everything from here versus all the way there and having to walk it all the way back here, and then we could take it outside when we wanted to. So I've done that a couple times, but if anybody is like, I want to go see or something, we'll do it. Eventually, I think we'll probably offer like bundles from that store. But that's kind of what I was saying to everybody. Start off with like the fabric that we got off of Amazon because I didn't know if I was going to like this. I had no idea that was going to be like, oh my goodness gracious, I love this. But now that I've done it, I love it. But I'm glad I've started with, just fabric, and then I will slowly, as time goes on, get fabric, build my collection. But I'm really glad that I just didn't go and just start off and, build it slowly. You don't need a lot, you don't need a ton of fabric. You don't even need a yard. I think that water stuff, I only got 1/4 yard. I didn't even get a whole yard. I didn't need a whole yard. You would rather you rather have like small than small. You rather have a lot of little tiny like 1/8 or something or 1/4 than a bunch of a yard of fabric. Oh my goodness. I don't know if Sandy's here. She'll tell you. It was like I literally at the end of the video said, I'm in trouble. There was so many choices that would work for this over and over and over again. It was unbelievable. And eventually we're going to probably, if we do kits, we're going to get the fabric from there. And it's Amish owned locally. And we will get we will get the fabric from there, and we may even be in a position down the road to kind of offer bundles and putting our own fat quarters together, bundles and so forth. Unbelievable. It puts Hobby Lobby to shame. Because it's a lot of fabric. Oh, wait. This would work. This would work. Oh, this would work. Oh, this would work. It was just like kid in a candy store. And not that I don't love yarn. Oops, that came off of there. Not that I don't love yarn. I love yarn. I still do. I still love crocheting. But I can say this. You go to Hobby Lobby and the amount of choices for your crochet yarn it's getting smaller and smaller. There's not a lot of choices. And that's all I have. I've got Hobby Lobby and that's about it. I can go to Michael's, but Michael's is an hour away. And I do like Hobby Lobby's yarn. I like ice yarns too, but I don't want to pay the price to ship the ice yarns. So, but eventually we'll probably do fat quarters and stuff for people and samples and so forth. I just love their little sections where they had, like, you go so far and they had black and white, and then they had the fat quarters, and I think they were called 1/8 or 8 quarters. So then they had the 8 quarters, and the 8 quarters were like $1.98. and it was a decent amount of fabric. It wasn't a lot, but it was just enough. And then the fat quarters were like $3.98. I'm like, I could go in and get 10 of those at $20 every month and start building my collection just from that. I was like, man. And they had a whole section of bargain fabric and unbelievable. I'm telling you. You know, I've learned a lot, of course, from Eli Yoder, who used to be in the Amish and, you know, living near the Amish. They're great people. They really are. Um, there is some like world, old order Amish, like the Schwarzen Trooper and that kind of stuff. And, you know, like the shunning that they do and stuff. And, like what his dad experienced as far as shunning and so forth. And, you know, and I feel he has a mom and like, I don't agree with his dad, was shunned and his dad ended up, unaliving himself. And he is not buried because they've shunned him even in death. Um, yeah, they're like great. When you go, I did show people like the little section where they had it all color coordinated with the little section. You'll see how much the 1/8 is, and I'm gonna go get some next month. Um, but he's shunned even in death. If you go when I put the video together for the giveaway next month, and you go to the cemetery where Eli Yoder is buried, if you don't know who he is, he was a truck driver. He's no longer a truck driver. He's doing full-time ministry, and he is. I met him, amazing guy. But when you go to the cemetery, because he's right up, it's like an hour away. His father is buried. There's the Amish cemetery, so everybody's buried here. His father's buried on the other side of the cemetery because he's still shunned. I don't agree with that. And but it is what it is. And his mother has said, Eli Yoder's mother said, asked him not to come when she passes, not to come to her service, but she's honoring that because he wants a relationship with his mom. But then it's sad for the ones that can't go back to their families and visit because they're no longer Amish. So then it's just, some of it is just a real divide and it's hard, but they're amazing people. And some of the cultures, there's so many different ones. Some of them are much more, modern than some other ones, and some aren't. And, you know, but it is an Amish owned fabric store, but it's amazing. And people couldn't be nicer. And the places around here that we have that are Amish owned, very nice. The food is just beyond board. We're going on Saturday to Der Dutchman to meet up with Josh's mom. And food is delicious. So I just don't agree with everything, And of course, I remember Eli saying, he said he went talked to I think it was a bishop or something. He said he was very nice and he talked to me. And he said, when I started bringing up the Bible, he just looked and he said, well, that's not for us. And he's like, you know, he's like, that verse isn't for the Amish. It's like, well, it's right in the Bible. It's for everybody, whatever verse he was doing. Um, it's Ohio. So we live down in Berlin, which we're gonna go hopefully next week sometime because I want to see if we can get some of our soap caddies down there, especially because of the summer tourist. But Berlin is very heavily Amish. Apple Creek, Millersburg. Um, when you go out to this craft store, if I'm talking about, I couldn't even. I'd have to take a video for you all to see where this is. Probably have to the trip to there because it's literally out in farm country. You're going there, you've got corn on one side, and there's corn on, if you look at the picture of the place, and I've got a video, I've got to put a short up of it. I just haven't done it today. Um, there's corn on one side, there was sheep on the way, I mean, the farms, and there is nothing around this place. It is out in the boonies. I mean, we've gone in our own town here, and it doesn't happen very often. I can say that because we're not in the actual, I mean, there are people that are Amish around here, but not like it is down in Millersburg and stuff like that. But we've gone down and people have had the horse and buggy going right down the road here, but much more in Berlin and Millersburg and Apple Creek and stuff like that. Much more of a much more of an Amish influenced area down in there. Walnut Creek and places down there, and there's a place down in I think it's down in, is it down Walnut Creek? I think it's called the Farm. I'm gonna somebody gets older, I'm gonna take, you got hay rides and you get to go in and actually, see how things are done and everything. I mean, that's, you know, but it's a very different culture, and um for sure. I'm not criticizing it, but I don't agree with everything in it. I mean, even Eli had said, if I had he left Yamish, but he had said his brother is he has several brothers and sisters. I think a lot of them. And he said his other brother is in a much more not as liberal, or much more like they're like much more modern Amish culture. Um, I agree. Thank you. Welcome in, Story. Welcome in. I gave you a shout out today on both channels, and I've got to put that I've got to do that tomorrow. But he said he probably would have stayed Amish if it had been if he had more been able to, he probably would have gone down there, and he's thought about it, but they're a much more, modern Amish. You're welcome. We want to do other great communities with our community. That's what we're trying to do. You can hashtag blessed in the chat if you want people to connect with your channel. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of his sisters, has said, he's tried to go visit his sister, and she won't let him even in the door. She says, "Don't come around. You can't come around because he's not Amish anymore." And that's hard. I don't like to see families divided like that. His mother will see him, but he has to go there in his Amish clothing with a hat on because he has a worldly haircut. But his one sister won't have anything to do with him. And her children can't see him either. so they can't see their uncle. And I'm like, that makes me sad. So I don't like to see that. I think family's beyond precious, and I think that, we don't need to be dividing it, but that's their culture and their choice, and so I don't have to like it. And he's accepted it. If y'all get to check him out, Eli Yoder, do, because I've done an interview with him uh, on his Facebook channel. It's no longer there because they only allow it to be there for 30 days. But I met him, great guy, and so is his wife, and just learned a lot. He's got quite a testimony. And Josh is learning how to do the frames. I don't think he's ready to show us yet. He is learning, so we got to give him time to learn how to do it before he can show us. But he's trying to get the one done for Grandma, for nothing else, and then we'll work on it and we'll get it to you all. But he's got to learn how to do them. He's the one to show us. Yes. I don't know if I have his channel. I may have his channel on my thing. I wonder if this would work. I think I did at one time. We'll try that code and see if it works. Yep, that's his channel. That's his YouTube channel. I did it because I'm gonna share his channel if anybody was asking. That's him. But he was neat. He preached at a local church in the area that he didn't live far from. And before he went in to preach, there was an Amish buggy going right in front of the church. And I even have like a video of his preaching that day that I put up. So, and I wrote a song, and his community wanted me to release it, so I probably will when I was going to release it when I do the giveaway. And then they can have it if they want. He did do it on his. He did a video, if you look it up, of the song and his reaction to it. Everybody loved the song. He loved the song. So but you always wonder when you meet people like that, are they going to be as, they have a presence with them on their channel or on their Facebook or what have you, and you're like, are they going to be that cool in person as they are on and he couldn't have been nicer. He was just a really cool guy. Honestly, he was. I'm really glad Christina got to meet him. He prayed over Christina and, has been praying for her as well during this time. So nice guy. Actually, we went to meet him. She very much wanted to meet him, and she couldn't go with us when we went to the church. And so she was like, Mom, I want to meet him. I want to meet him. So we ended up going at the time. We went to, what was it? It was called, I have some of my soap caddies there. The was it? I can't remember what it was called now. Beyond Measure, and I have a video of that too. And Beyond Measure, and we went there. We met him. We had lunch, and that was the time that big, huge snowstorm was supposed to hit Ohio, and it did. We were trying to get there and get it back in our house and get her back home before kind of all hit the hay before the storm came in, and boy did it snow. But we did, and she got to meet him. She thought it was really cool. It was a neat experience. Nice place that place is. Did I cover up a leaf again? I did, didn't I? Oh, dang on it. I gotta peel the fabric. I'm really good at covering up these leaves, aren't I? I'm really good about doing it. Come on. Give me a minute. I'm focusing. I'm not reading anybody's comments because I'm focusing for a second. Trying not to pull out the flower petals, but that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I'm really good at doing that too. There we go. Thank you. This little tool is great. It really is, because it kind of gets in a hole where you kind of need it to be, if you got a round edge, it really works to get in there. The little stylus tool. Wouldn't press too hard, but you need it to kind of, and they're great for the glue. I've got to hit that with the glue. I decided I didn't need more glue, so I just got the stylus. I found them, and they're all pretty colors too. They're not just wood, but they work great to kind of get in these areas of difficulty. It's like right here is coming up a little bit, so I can get this a little bit more in tune so I can really have a nice clean edge. And I can do that with the seam ripper, but I seem to be able to do this a lot better with this. That really helps. And I have a little thing of water here, and if I get a little glue, I just take the water and that solves the problem. So that solved that. I've got a little bit more over here. They have different sizes. So depending on what I need, of course, I'm just reaching for one right now, but I'm gonna have to kind of bring that down. That won't look so funny. That looks better. There we go. So it kind of helps to kind of curve some of this. Like if I need to, there we go. I need to really kind of make something. It's got the round edge on it. It really seems to. Oops. They're great little tools to have. They're on the fabric list. Is this? It's a set of 5. They all have different sizes, but they're great. They're really coming in handy, especially for this one. Onward and upward, guys. Okay, let's do a little bit of green just because we have it, and I don't want to totally. I definitely want to do the green here, but I've added a little bit of blue in with this just to kind of break it up. And I didn't know if I was going to have enough of the green to finish all of it, but it was close enough between the colors that it was just kind of added a different shade to the grass, I think, because not everything is the same color grass. So it worked. Let's not try to hide the flower again, huh? Yes. They're on the fabric. They're on the on this list. Some of them are affiliate links, but they are on this list. I added them onto that. I didn't want to do that. Got my computer here. And we got rid of 3 bags of trash. Or 4 bags of trash last night on top of it. Josh threw away stuff he didn't need. I threw away stuff I didn't need. So we decluttered while we reorganized, which made my mother very happy. So they do have, I think I have 2 things. I have the stylus, which are the same with the glue, with the tacky glue, and without. I didn't need that kind of tacky glue. I like the super dry, especially because I sit here and wait for it to dry while we're working on stuff. But the stylus are the same. It's just I looked for the stylus without the glue, so I didn't have to buy the glue, and they were cheaper. So, but both are there, the ones with the glue set and the one without. One's wood and those are plastic. So it just depends. If you feel like you need the glue, then get it. I would just probably say use your quick dry because it seems to dry quicker than using the regular tacky. And here was another trick I'll show you in a minute. No, I may not need. Well, another trick I learned too is that you can take a little bit of water in your finger. You're not going to hurt anything if you get it against. Yeah, but just so you know, there's no sheets on there. If you need to have something smooth out, you can take a little water and it will smooth it out, your finger or the tool or what have you. I need to put the sheets on, but I'll have to do that in a little bit. And it will be fine. I did that on the cross. Some of the areas in the cross needed a little unwrinkling. So I think we're gonna have a part 6. Jeez, I won't be able to get to all of it. I want to get done with this part where we're getting all this little section. I want to get done tonight. Then we'll come back and we'll finish the flowers tomorrow. I don't think I can finish it all tonight, but I do like my space better. And then I don't know. The only thing I'll have to get down the road is another chair, but right now, I'm not really at my computer too much right now, so it's fine. I can just wheel it from the bedroom here. It's not a big deal. It's one of those things that goes, whoops, it will be fine. But eventually, I do want to get another office chair for here. But for right now, this works. It's a heck of a lot more comfortable than the dining room chairs. And it's not like it wasn't that hard to just roll from one room to another. If I need it in the bedroom, I will wheel it back. If I need it in here, I will wheel it in here. It's not that big a deal. It would be nice to not have to do that, but it is what we do have to do for right now. And it will work. I have to add more glue there. Taking notes? Oh, I don't feel like I'm equipped yet. I'm learning so much about this. I am constantly learning and I'm looking for tips and things, but I did have to do that on the cross. There was just a couple wrinkles. Well, what's the worst thing that happened? This is where you're going to learn. And I did. I just went ahead and did it and it wrinkled itself out. It wasn't perfect, but it just seemed to have taken it seemed to fix it. It made it better. It made it smoother. So if you need to, it will not be the end of the world. And it's not going to hurt the fabric. I don't think it's hurt the glue. The fabric's going to dry. I'd probably use bottled water because sometimes tap water has stuff in it that may not be filtered out. So I'd probably say just have a bottled water handy and use that. I just always have bottled water over here because then trying to drink my water and keep hydrated. But try not to cover up the loop. Come on. And we realize if these flowers pop out, we can put them back in. No problemo. Because we're over here and these flowers are not moving. They are exactly where we stuck them. So, and sometimes you still need to use your seam ripper for glue because that just didn't want to, I need it to be a little bit more in the grooves. So I need it to be a little bit more. It needs a little bit more finer. So if you need a real fine one, then just use your seam ripper. And have some wipes too, because then that way, if you need to wipe off any glue, you can wipe it off without having to put it on your hands. Okay, that will fix it. And sometimes you got to give the glue areas a little bit of time to get with it. Believe me, this glue when it dries, it's good. It's not going anywhere. Glue. There. Get that out of there. I think I'm gonna use the screen. Doing these in two separate sections, so we're gonna use the green on this and that because we're kind of near the clouds and everything. I want that separation happening. And then we will come back for the last little piece of this tomorrow, which is the flowers. My nemesis. Now I may tomorrow sit and do some of these flowers. You all got the gist of how to do some of these flowers, but they're going to take us a while to do. So, or if I have trouble sleeping in the middle of the night between now and then, I may just hit some of these flowers tomorrow, and maybe finish like the last two with you all because they're going to take me a little bit of time, and that way I've got the fabric laid here of how we decided we're going to do the flowers and what colors we're going to use. So that's been decided. It's just tucking in the fabric. So I may do that, and then we'll save the last two things because I do want to finish this with you all on with me. You've stuck in with me this whole entire time. So I want to finish it with you all. But it's going to be a lot easier to sit in this chair than keep saying it, but it was so uncomfortable. We did it, but we have little footrests in the garage. I could even go get a footrest and put it underneath this chair. I wanted to put my feet up anytime to get one of them little camping footrests Josh got years ago, and I could even put it under this table if I wanted to. Put my feet up, maybe. Oh boy. Looking forward to seeing my mother-in-law on Saturday. Kids are coming with us. It's going to be a nice time. Good to see family. It's just going to be a special time for reasons I can't get into right now, but it's going to be nice. We always We always pay when we go out with the kids. We always take care of their. We don't ask them. We go. We go out to lunch or something. We always take care of the bill. Just it's, they've got enough expenses. It's hard for young families today. We can't do it very often, but when we can, um, it's not easy today. Everything's so expensive. I'm watching the Brady Bunch and I'm thinking, man alive. They came to Greg today in the episode I was watching, and I was like, they laid coins down because he was talking about getting a car, and he's like, and they said, yeah, Greg, this will cover the gas. Here's I can't remember, it was like just change, and I was like, this will cover X amount of times and this ride and that ride. And I'm like, you couldn't get very far on that today. Not one bit. It was like a couple cents, and it was like, oh, that'll cover your, this amount of rides. And I was like, I remember my dad, and he would go an extra 10 miles just to save a penny. He loved getting gas for like $1.90, like 99 cents. And I remember when you were paying 99 cents you know, for a gas. Not today. I would never own an electric car. I would own a hybrid, but not a solid electric. Change.
Electric hybrid.
Change would get you a quarter. Yep, exactly. I just remember he used to go down the road to find gas, and I'd be like, Dad, come on. And he'd go, no, got it. And I was like, oh goodness. He was not happy till he found the gas for 99 cents. Gone are the days when you get gas for 99 cents. Literally. I'm getting gas now for 99 cents. My grandmother used to tell me, because she used to live over in Scotland. She was raised in Scotland. She used to say, we had a little thing in the house, and sometimes we had money to put in it, and sometimes we didn't, and that's how you paid your electric bill. It was putting money in this little thing. That's how you paid it. And you may or may not have enough. If you didn't have enough, we just used hot water bottles. And she said, they the her dad used to have an egg, but of course they couldn't afford an egg. So my mom said, he used to like to have his eggs poached. So the dad would take a little thing off of the egg and give it to one kid, would get the lucky egg, the top of the egg when you peel off the top of the poached egg. And one lucky kid would get it. The father would get it because he was a stonemason, so he needed, to make sure he had protein. And so he would get it, and then the kid would get the the top of the egg white. And I think they only had it once. Well, they only got it that, went around and they get it maybe once a week or something. And one time his sister, my great grandfather's sister, came to visit, and she gave one of one of the kids, my great grandmother's kids, food, or gave them money to go get eggs. So they didn't have any. Eventually my grandmother poached or you know, did something to preserve the eggs, and so the she gave her nieces, her nephews to go get the fresh eggs. They came back enough for her and her kids to have fresh eggs in the morning. So I think that's the first time that she had met her sister-in-law or something. She let her get done with her eggs. She fixed the eggs. She let her get done with them. And then she just looked at her sister-in-law and she said, okay. She said, I've made arrangements. She said, go up and get your stuff packed. She said, I've made arrangements. You'll have to go stay at your other sister, the other sister's house, my great grandfather's other sister's home. You can't stay here. She said, these kids don't have eggs, fresh eggs. And for you to sit here with fresh eggs and you get enough for just yourself and your kids, she said, I won't have it. So she wasn't able to stay there. That was it. You're done. Yeah, Lizzie was not to be messed with. That was for sure. She was not a lady that was worth you were not going to mess with her. And she was going to, my kids had to sit there and watch you eat fresh eggs. It's not something they get. And go get money for that and then not bring enough back for everybody. No, that was just selfish to her. She just couldn't get past it. She'd give everybody, she'd share with everybody. Her son one time had it was candy or something. And my great grandmother said to her son, now give so and so, whoever it was, out this little girl a piece of candy. And he wouldn't do it. So she just took the candy from him, she put it on the ground, and she smashed it. You're not going to share? You're not getting any of it. That was it. And I remember my grandmother saying that, it took her all year to save up for this doll. And she was going to get the doll. She was going to get it for all the kids. Everybody. All this. She had 3 sisters. But the only thing was they had to share the doll. You just couldn't get the one doll because you had to share the doll. It wasn't going to work for you to get the doll and then not share it because they had to share it. They got it Christmas morning, and then the young lady started to, I want the doll. Now I want the doll. She was not going to have it. So she turned it on the fireplace, if it was already on because it was Christmas and it was cold over in Scotland. She just turned the fire. Sat them all in front of the fireplace. She took the doll and drew it right in the fireplace. And they had to sit there watching that doll that they didn't want to share and they wanted to fuss about burn up. And you think to yourself, and then she worked really hard to get that doll for these 3 girls, and she had to watch it just burn up. But she was going to teach her kids, You're going to share, and if you're not going to share, you don't get it. And that was going to be it. So she was a tough lady, and one that I think I probably have some of my, as they used to say, chutzpah from. I definitely in life have some of my chutzpah from her, and my tolerance for no nonsense. I just dumped water all over the table. Oh well, it's just plastic, or it's not gonna. Where did I want to do that? Oh, right here. It's right here, and it's just I've gotta smush this just a little bit so it doesn't look so. That's better. I was at. I'll never forget it too. Some of these little strings are annoying me. I'm just gonna let them be, and then I'll clean them up when we finish everything. We were at Christina's school one time. Brand new school. The principal and principal and me did not really get along very well after this. So she, we had just, literally gotten Jordan that month. Literally. He was probably in our family we had gotten him in June, was it? Was it June no, July 13th. He had come home for good. And she started school in like August. And so the principal, she went off to class for the first time and everything. And the vice principal, looked at me and she said, "Yep, not at all, absolutely." That was Lizzie's motto. Anyway, and I ordered, before I forget, I ordered a tan tablecloth or gray tablecloth instead of the blue tablecloth so that, not that I think y'all are going to see it, but this way, we're just using a blue tablecloth Mama had, but it's not a square one, it's a rectangle or a circle one. And the gray one, at least, it won't be too dark so that darker fabric can't be seen. It won't be too light where white's going to show everything and everything. So the light gray will be a really nice thing. Anyway, so they welcomed us into the thing and we're sitting down and we're talking to the school. And Jordan was her autism service dog, and I spent $15,000 worth every penny to raise money for that dog. So the vice principal just looked at me and she said, "I hear your daughter has a service dog." And I said, "Yeah, she does." And this is another thing I like about this chair. I can lean back and stretch out my back for a minute. And I said, "Yep, she does." And she said, "Well, we have tons of kids in our class that our school that are on the spectrum and have ASD." And she said, "None of them have service dogs." She said, "Are you hoping that service dog will one day come here?" And I said, "Yes, possibly." Never, it never would have happened, but I just looked at her and I said, "And ma'am, I really don't care whether one or all of your children in this school have a service dog. It is helping her. It is making a difference. She's sleeping better with this dog. And I could really care one iota whether one or all of them have it. She needed it. She got it. End of story." And I thought to myself, it's exactly what Lizzie would have said. She wouldn't have cared one bit. Anybody thought that would have been it. We didn't get along very well. I didn't give one, I remember the first time, I'll never forget it. Christina just looked at me and said, she was like 12 or 13. And there was times I would spend like an hour in bed with her, trying to get her to go to sleep. She just wouldn't go to sleep. And then she'd wake up, a couple hours later, couldn't go back to sleep. I mean, this was the yo-yo game we played. At one point, Christina even, you know, Josh would let her sleep, and I had to sleep because I was working. And so Josh would sleep in her room so she could sleep in our room so that I could get sleep because she'd sleep better. I was just exhausted. And I'll never forget. And I remember saying to somebody at work about it, and they didn't understand autism and everything. And they said, they made a snide comment. And I'm like, would you like to come live my life for 5 seconds? But they have found out that children with autism sleep better with a warm body next to them. Oh, to say Jordan was that warm body. And so she just looked at me first time. She was about 13 years old. Looked at me and said, "Good night, Mom." And I was like, "What?" I just said good night. She went off to bed with Jordan in hand, went to sleep. And I'd come in and find them, and I'd find her head, her feet over his body, and her head and his butt in all different kind of positions. But she slept, and she went to bed by herself and on her own with no problem. And he was the miracle dog. It was like, oh, you're going to sleep, and I don't need to sit there for an hour. I had air mattresses in her bedroom trying to get her to go to sleep. We had the TV on. We had weighted blankets. We tried everything. And between a little bit of helpful medication, which helped, but also Jordan, that was the difference. That was the miracle right there, was him. Between those two things, that was such a help. And it was an amazing thing. He was worth everything. And then when he came into our lives July 13th of 2013. No, 2012. I mean, he home permanently with us. And Christina was diagnosed with diabetes in February of 2013. And I remember one time she told me that she was, something was happening. And Jordan just would not settle down. Just, he wouldn't get settled. And she got up, she took him outside and let him use the restroom. He didn't have to do any of that. He wouldn't settle. And she just looked at him and she said, do I need to test? He woke her up. He was not trained as a diabetic service dog. He was trained as an autistic service dog. And she just looked at him and she said, do I need to test? And she said he would not settle down. She said, I took my tester. I tested. I was at 80. So he was, and she said, I realized, of course, I was asleep. She didn't wake me up for it, but she said, then I realized I felt weird. But she said, he would not settle until I tested. So he woke her up out of his sleep to let her know that something wasn't right. And he used to do that with Josh. Every once in a while, he was on our bed because when Christina wasn't home and we were home, Jordan was in his crate. He was crated. But he ended up having like these fatty deposit things on his body, and he had some surgery. And there was one that was like right on his vest, so it was rubbing on his vest. And so we had surgery for it. And so when he was recovering, we allowed him to be with us just so we could monitor him. He was on our bed. Josh and I were home. Christina was at school, and he just he was snoring. He was absolutely snoring. And then he just stood up. He sat up on the bed. He looked right at Josh and he started barking. And Josh was like, "What is it?" And says, "Jordan, do I need to test?" And sure enough, he was high. So, and he was never trained for it. But I think he would have been, if we had known that Christina was going to be a diabetic, we would have certainly had him. We would have had, we would have had, we would have gotten her a dual diagnosis dog. But we didn't know at the time that that was going to be what was going to happen down the pike. But, and if it ever comes to pass, that is what I want to get for Josh as a diabetic service dog. They are about $20,000. Well, Christina's was 15 at the time. Probably it would cost about $25,000 for a service dog, a diabetic one. Yeah, they're not cheap. But, and the problem is that we would have to get one that would be trained with, like privately. We could have gotten a free one. They would have probably, they require you to be in like 90 miles of Cincinnati. They would have done it possibly. But they were requiring us to get rid of Mocha, and I wouldn't do it. We tried to rehome her, and it just never panned out. And so, I was so afraid that if we rehomed her, that maybe people would not understand her, and then, put her in a, in a situation where you're just putting her from shelter to shelter, and it was not going to be good. So, and I promised that dog she was never going to get hurt again and treated like that. But we'd have to go through a private agency that could train the dog, so that it could also be worked with Mocha. But that's down the road, because also not only that, we would need pet insurance for the dog and expenses, and we're just trying to keep up with Mocha's expenses. And I would never own a dog without it having being on pet insurance. Never. I learned that from Jordan. And Abby, our first dog. She was a poodle. And if I'd known Christina was autistic, I'd have gotten her a service dog when she was 5. But I didn't know because she was diagnosed wrong. But we had Abby. She was a toy poodle. And then she eventually became my dad's emotional support dog. She was amazing. We loved our little Abby, little 10-pound toy poodle. And she tried to also do a weight for Christina. What autistic individuals do very well with is they like pressure, like deep pressure. So if Jordan was, could tell Christina was going to get emotional or have issues, if she wanted to go take him for a walk and she was starting to kind of get overwhelmed, he would just plant his feet down. He wasn't going anyplace, not one place. And she'd sit there and go, "Mom, why won't he go someplace?" Because you're overwhelmed and you can tell, and you've got to calm yourself down. And so he could tell it, and he wouldn't move. He would just sit there. Mhm. And then once she would sit down, you could just see her whole face go, and he would put his 100 pounds of weight on her, and you would just see her whole body go. It just was the deep pressure, and she'd love it. And Mocha will do it to her. She's 55 pounds, and you can tell she loves it when Mocha does it. She'll want that pressure on her. She just loves it. So anyway, Mocha or Abby was like 10 pounds, soaking wet. She was maybe 11, and she would stretch out her little body and try to put deep pressure on Christina. But she was just this spitfire of a little poodle. Remember when we first got her, and we went to these classes, well, because we hired a trainer because we didn't know what in the heck we were doing. My mother said it's either dog or me, because she didn't quite understand all the stuff. So I got this wonderful trainer that didn't have any kids. She said, I really don't like kids, but I'll work with you. And she was just amazing with Abby and us. And, and so anyway, we went to this like puppy class, and there was this dog, and it apparently wasn't a puppy. And no, but there was a dog in there that kind of wasn't. And everybody had to pick up their dogs, but there was this Rottweiler, and if it had a tail, it would have taken its tail and put it between its legs. And the instructor said to me, Kathy said, pick up your dog, pick up Abby. And I started to, and she goes, no, wait a minute, don't do it. And she had a beautiful dog, and that dog, all of those dogs in that class were her puppies. Like if she wouldn't even cross the street, it was like a park, like a side little street. She wouldn't cross that street until all of her puppies were across the lawn having a potty break. She'd watch out for all of her little puppies. She would just watch. It was so cute. But anyway, this Rottweiler did something Abby didn't like. And she literally got after this Rottweiler and started going "Woof, woof, 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 woof," and ran this Rottweiler back to its owner. The Rottweiler went back to the owner with his tail between his legs, and Abby just strutted back to me like, "See, Mama, see what I did." Our next door neighbor found this breeder in Mississippi, so she flew here from Mississippi. She was an amazing dog. When my dad got dementia, you know, um, she just became this emotional support dog for my dad. I remember my mom said to me one time that she took Christina to school, and my dad was, at home asleep. And she came back home and she said, he had put Abby outside because they had moved to the place next door to us. So there was no more backyard like there was in their old house. And he put Abby outside, closed the door, and she just stood there waiting until Mom got home so she could back in the house. My one thing I was very glad for is when we had to put her down because she was having kidney failure. She was about 15 years old. And that my dad had dementia, and you know, he didn't realize he was so close to that dog that he didn't remember that she wasn't there. He didn't remember that, you know, um, he didn't ask for her again. He came home, he went to his little daycare thing, and then he came home. He didn't even realize that we were all crying, but he knew nothing. And for that, I'm grateful for, because that was something he didn't have to grieve. He never really asked for her again. And then he didn't remember that she wasn't there. And we were all trying to we were trying to not cry around him so that he didn't get upset about it. Rest of us were crying, but we were just, kind of keeping quiet about it. But Abby, my dad was pest control guy. And so my uncle had helped my dad clean out the shed 'cause they were trying to do something in it in the shed that my dad kept all his chemicals in outside. And my uncle had swept out rat poison, which was in like tasted like peanut butter, and it was like little chunks. Abby found it, and she was under a year, and my dad recognized it, thank God, quick enough that there was this green haze around her mouth. And he went and got her to the vet. I came home from work. Christina was probably about 5 years old, was living with them. And it wasn't Mr. Blester Crochet wasn't in my life at that point. He was a friend, but he wasn't in my life in that way. And I said to my dad, I said, "Oh, Abby, you got into some dirt or something," because she had black stuff all over her face. And then he told me, so we had to take her to the vet, the emergency vet. They had to pump her stomach, and they had to put charcoal down her stomach in order to pump and get the rat poison out. And she had been sleeping in her crate up to that point. And then he just said, "Oh, can she sleep in the bed with us?" Well, then that was it. She never went back to her crate to sleep. She slept with my parents. But she had to be monitored because they were unsure what was happening. She made it through, but the pet insurance, I mean, we had $1,000 bill at the vet. Yeah, I could write a book. I'm glad you're enjoying them. But without the pet insurance, I'm telling you, it was $1,000 bill. And we got a majority of that back. She got written in their newsletter about it. So ever since then, I started with pet insurance with Abby, and I have continued it for every dog we've had. Mocha has it. And we have continued it for every dog we've owned nationwide. And, because if you think about it, I mean, what happens is that, if she has an expense, I mean, it cost us like, you know, uh, who was it? I mean, uh, Jordan had the best. So does Abby to some degree. But if, you know, it's $80 a month for Mocha, but then you're going to be paying it eventually somehow, some way. When we go on the 14th to pay for her policy renews for the year, it's $80. It's going to be, probably over a $200 visit, and we'll get a majority of that back. Not all of it, because she has to be sedated, so they only cover one sedation a year, but still, we're going to get some of it back. And Jordan, he was diagnosed with diabetes in 2000. When was that? 2017? Something like that. 2018? That bill was a $4,000 bill. And because he was a service dog, we did things for him that we would not have done for a different dog. But because he was a service animal is why we did it. We were trying to keep him alive for as long as we could for Christina. But there's things we did for that dog that we would have probably not done for another. But we kept him alive because he was such a value thing for Christina. And about the time he got diabetes, my grandmother had just passed. It was too much for her to have to lose Jordan too. So, but he got diagnosed with diabetes. We were moving. It was just all too much. We had to do what we had to do. But he eventually went blind. He just never got his sugar. We could never get his sugars corrected. But that was a $4,000 bill. And a majority of it we got back from the pet insurance. So those are the expenses that you never know. Mocha's insurance is about $85 a month. But if anything did happen, and it's worth it. And it was so, we found when Jordan passed, it was so emotional. There was like an angel foundation, and they literally came and got Jordan at the vet. They came and got him, and then of course she has his ashes. Trigger warning. And um and they had him. We were able to come and have like a little service for her. It was just closure for us and closure for Christina. And so it's called Angel Foundation, and in Cincinnati, close to it. Just a little time to reflect and so forth. We like collect the hair, and they do paw prints and all that kind of stuff. But she needed that. It was such a hard loss. She has every one that she has, all the dogs she's ever had. She has the ashes from them. But I'll never forget the time that we brought Abby home from the vets. When we put her down, and then of course we brought her ashes back. And um, my mom brought him in to the house. There was the dresser. She put him right down in the dresser. And then she just put him there. Jordan was not there when she put him away. She just put him in. They were in the drawer and everything. Jordan wasn't anywhere around when it happened. And Christina, of course, at that point, we lived next door to my mom. I'm just cleaning up it's a great little trick. Water seems to fix the issue if there's a problem. And Christina came next door with Jordan. And Jordan went right in that. He went right in my mom's bedroom. He went right over to that dresser, and he planted his body right there. And then, Christina was doing something. It was, and usually when she called him, he would come. The minute she called him, and he wasn't ever very far from where she was. But I think when she was ready to head back home, she said, "Well, he wasn't. Where is he? He was in my mom's bedroom." Hi, Star. Welcome on in. He was in my mom's bedroom, like sitting right by the dresser where uh, Abby's ashes were. And he was kind of saying his goodbyes to her. It was, it was, it was like, and my mom's like, Christina literally had to go in the room and get him to come on, Jordan, come on. And he just was like, no, I've got to have my time. But it was funny because when we got him, they really don't want the service dogs to interact like we do with regular dogs. For dogs to kind of interact that way, they don't want them to do that. They want them to kind of have their, they want them to, kind of stay, you know, they're not really supposed to be interacting and playing with other dogs and everything. And but we did with Abby. And but he knew Abby was the boss, and he knew it too. She had a bed. They had a bed. He had a big bed. She had a small bed. And she would go lay in his bed, and he would go lay in her bed. And if she was laying in his bed, he would just go. He was like, "Nope. If you think I'm going to ask her to move, ain't happening." He was like, he if she laid on that bed, he would wait. There was no space for her, and then he would go curl himself up in her bed. It was like you two are just too thing. He knew, if you think I'm gonna ask her to move, I think one time he tried to do something with her and she didn't like it, and so she barked at him something. I was like, nope, we're not. I knew I fit this in here before. She was like, nope, we're not doing that one. That was funny because he was just like, no. She barked right at him and was like, no, that'll teach you. So he knew who the boss was. Abby was the boss, for sure. Yeah, it's not crochet. It's called Kinusaiga. It is taking fabric and using polystyrate and putting it into foam board. This is polystyrate, like the stuff you use in your home for putting in insulated board. And you're making pictures and you're cutting into images and you're using fabric. Um, we're going to be doing my patterns right here. We're going to be doing, I've got this one cut. And I figured this would be a really good one for everybody. Oh, it is. It is so much fun and it's addicting. um, this is one of the patterns I'm going to come up with. And we have our other patterns. We put one up. The rose will always be free. That's the first one we did. But I did put up the which one was it? I put up the not the flag. I put up the I put up the cross, and that one's $2. But this is the first one we did. That was the rose one. That will always be, I should put it this way, sorry. This will always be free. This pattern will always be free because it was the first one we did on my birthday. So that one will always be free. And I keep it up here because I get to look at it. But did this pattern, I cut it out, and we're probably going to do this before we do the goose, only because I do want to do this one and offer this one for $2 because this has a lot of straight lines in it, and it's going to give you guys a lot of practice with the straight lines. So if you're learning how to do Kinusaiga, this pattern will be very good because it's full of a lot of straight lines, and it will be great practice for beginners. We are going to offer this pattern when it's done. I still have to make some modifications. This is the cross that's up there now that we did. Of course, the cross is over there. I still have to make some modifications on this. Once we get this one done, we're going to offer, and I've got the goose cut out and started a little bit. When we do this pattern, we're going to offer it with the flowers and without. That way, people that don't want to bother with these little flowers do not have to. This one will be $3. So if we make a modification like that to any pattern, we will offer it for $1 more. And a little portion of each pattern we sell goes back to doing our shoe boxes for the Christmas holiday for Samaritan's Purse. So anyway, we are on the home stretch, guys. And I'm so excited. So excited. So we're gonna finish this tomorrow. One more shot. In our new little area in our den. So mom can have her table back, even though she said she didn't mind. So we are gonna finish the flowers tomorrow. Um And so we have the fabric here picked out in the order we're going to do it in. I may try tomorrow to maybe do some of the flowers ahead so we're not doing so many of them. But I certainly will see about that and leave like the last two flowers for us to do together because I want to finish it while I'm on here with you all. So guys, I'm gonna go. I gotta put the I have to go put um I have to go put the have mom help me put the sheets on the bed. So if I change the sheets on there, and so we can clean up our area. So I will put it up for tomorrow and then we'll get it done. Looking good. I love you all. I'm so excited for this little tiny space in our space that we currently have. It's going to be nice. Love you all. Have a great night. Remember to be proud of being you. Everyone else is taken. Keep crocheting that connection. No crochet hook required. No crochet hook is required. We have you covered. Thank you so much for having us covered. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Bye bye, everybody. Love each and every one of you. Have a great night.